I actually have a question for you, Mr. Payne. I received an email tonight from somebody who forwarded to me from the Campaign for Liberty, which, after I read it, really looked like a borderline hate group to me. And we are in an era in this country where we really need to come together and not apart. Part of that email was about a bill called Oscar's Law. The first phrase in the email was, Bill 2318 aims to force animal owners of domestic and farm animals to comply with confusing and arbitrarily defined requirements to provide suitable shelter, in quotes, in the event of an adverse environmental condition. Wouldn't you think everybody would want to keep their pets protected unless they were breaking the law? Number one. Number two, if you understood Baltimore County Code, you would understand that farm animals don't apply.
I appreciate your comment. I'm not a member of Campaign for Liberty, and that's common sense. Why would you bring your dog inside?
I also want to say that I am a Democrat. I was a swing voter until the era we're in now. And I can assure you, as a political science minor from years ago, that David Marks has my vote across party lines because he knows how to work and get things done. And I'm going to give you a copy of this law so you can read it.
I appreciate that. Can you step on the table?
What Ms. Freeman is talking about is Oscar's Law. It is a bipartisan piece of legislation that I am sponsoring with Councilman Quirk that would attempt to place metrics for when dogs should be brought inside or have suitable shelter. It's a response primarily to an incident in the southwestern Baltimore County where a dog froze to death. And the county administration didn't act properly. So we basically have established common sense metrics. You have to bring your pets inside if it's below 32 degrees or above 90 degrees, or if it's a weather-related emergency, or you have to make sure that there's a doghouse or a shelter. Common sense. The bill also moves animal abuse investigations from the health department over to the police department. I'm very proud of this bill. It's an example of how I can work across party lines to get things done. I am not surprised that the Campaign for Liberty would send an email out like this. And look, I have friends who go to their meetings. Mr. Payne goes to their meetings.
I do.
You do go to their meetings?
Yes, on occasion.
Shortly after Mr. Payne declared for my seat, he was congratulated publicly by a leader in the Campaign for Liberty. Let me tell you about some of the things the leader of Baltimore County's Campaign for Liberty has come out against. Apparently against a common sense bill dealing with animal cruelty. It came out against the social host ordinance. The social host ordinance is a groundbreaking piece of legislation that I sponsored that holds landlords responsible for unruly disturbances in places like Towson. And since I put this bill in, those disturbances have plummeted in Towson. It's not only a win for public safety, it's a win for private property owners. The Campaign for Liberty was against that too. The Campaign for Liberty nationally questions zoning. They don't think we should have zoning ordinances in some cases. And yet, their leadership congratulated Mr. Payne when he ran against me. Look, I will always work with civic-minded individuals of all political persuasions, but when people engage in some of the vitriol that the leader of the Baltimore County Campaign for Liberty has done, I don't know where we can find common ground.
It is true that I have been to Campaign for Liberty meetings. Why don't everybody go ahead and try at one point in time? You can disagree. This is a free country. We have freedom of speech and freedom of association. Steve McIntyre attends Campaign for Liberty meetings. That's okay. And I don't agree with Campaign for Liberty all the time. I would love to see that email, Joy. I appreciate that. I appreciate your comment. I have a dog. I love animals. So if you want to, and if Councilman Marks wants to say that they congratulate me, you know what? You didn't congratulate me, did you? Congratulate me for wanting to run against you. I guess not. But either way, it's freedom of association. And if you want to learn something, they're their own organization. I'm not part of them. That's fine. Go ahead.
I'll be very brief. It is no secret that the leaders of the Campaign for Liberty actively want you in this seat instead of me. Okay? You are the Roy Moore.
They want me in this seat instead of you.
Okay, Mr. Payne, you would be the Roy Moore of Baltimore County. If you beat me in the Republican primary, if you would be unelectable in the general election, and you would certainly not have the temperament or maturity to serve as a member of the county council.
Yeah. Well, listen, the polarization we see and the utter noise, that comes out of D.C. is certainly disconcerting. I mean, I never went to a party event. I was never politically active until 2016. And what was going on then and what's going on now is distressing. Campaign for Liberty, I've been to meetings. I've been a member of the ACLU, too. I believe in civil liberties. It's a libertarian organization, and it certainly doesn't contribute to any sort of reasonable debate to immediately label people you disagree with as a hate group or, try to shut them down, which is something that we see happen all too often. I mean, especially at the local level, all of our communities, liberals, conservatives, Democrats, Republicans work together on common goals. I mean, we do that at the pool committee, and we look at the issues that we have with the Board of Education. This isn't a Democrat versus Republican or a conservative versus liberal situation. The corruption, this is parents and taxpayers in Baltimore County versus insider interests who benefit from a status quo. And that status quo has a budget in the billions of dollars a year. And if we don't address that, it's not going to get better on its own. And that's something that really, unfortunately, we've talked too much about Section 8. I'd say that's the biggest issue that we're facing in this election. And again, Delegate Lafferty, he is on the side of the status quo. We need to have fresh leadership. We need for Lita White to step aside and bring someone in who can actually restore confidence and take a fresh look at the hundreds of millions of dollars worth of contracts that were signed by Dallas Dance, somebody who's now heading to jail for corruption. I mean, how is that even controversial? Anyway. You want to talk about campaign for Liberty?